Kriselle. I'm a rising senior at Summit Rainier. During my time at BlueStamp, I created a 3D printed robotic hand. Here's a quick demo of how it works. So the robot mimics any movement done by the glove. So for example, if I bend my pointer finger, oh no, just kidding. If I bend my pointer finger, the robot's pointer finger. I'll take this out because the server's a little loud. I chose this project because I was interested in biomedical engineering at the time. The project seemed very complicated and I wanted to challenge myself. The way this works is that there are flex sensors sewn into the glove, and they act as long resistors that change in value depending on how much I bend my fingers. The Arduino board reads these varying drops in voltage and uses my code to translate it into a certain number of degrees that these servos should turn. The servos are attached to some fishing line which are attached to the fingers, so that when the servos are turned, they pull the fingers so that they bend and straighten as needed. When I first attached the flex sensors to my glove, I used duct tape. So because it was stiff, it was hard for me to bend my fingers, and it made it harder for the flex sensors inside to bend and detect the bending. Going into BlueStamp, I didn't have much engineering experience, so I was able to learn a lot. For example, I learned how to solder when I moved everything onto these PCBs. I learned how to build a schematic when I was planning everything out. And I even learned how to read resistors when I was choosing some for my flex sensors. The greatest challenge for me was definitely attaching the fishing line to the servos. The fishing line had to be at a very specific tightness, and if the servos had any problems, they could spin too much and break the fishing line. At one point, my servos kept spinning when I connected them to power, and my fishing line was connected wrong. So I ended up cutting all of my fishing line and restarting. This project also only calls for 4 servos, so the ring finger and the pinky finger have to move together. I didn't like that because I wanted my hand to be able to do things like basic American Sign Language. I wanted the robot to move exactly how my hand moves, so I ordered an extra servo and I tried to make it work. There isn't enough space in the forearm for a 5th servo, so I had to drill a hole into the side to make sure that the wires didn't break. I also had to use a Dremel to cut down 2 of the servo horns so that they wouldn't clash when they rotated. But because of their smaller radius, it made it harder for them to pull the fishing line, so they lost some control over their corresponding fingers. After I finished my base project, I got started on working on making everything wireless, but that's still a work in process. Sorry. Thank you. You guys have any questions?
I've noticed the starting point of it's not necessarily recognizing the starting point.
Right.
So have you figured that out?
I did, and it broke this morning. So yeah, like Andrew said, it broke, and I was just laughing because it's kind of ridiculous that it was perfect yesterday and today, it broke. But you're right. Yeah, it did have a set start point. It was straight, but it broke. Yeah.
Other than the fishing line, what was one of the most frustrating components in
So I'm sure anybody else who has this project will agree with me, but power supply was a huge deal. I'm sure, I know someone who shorted it twice. I shorted it once. A lot of people have shorted this. This battery is really powerful for no reason. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
You said that going into BlueStamp you were interested in biomedical engineering, but are you still interested?
I don't think it's the project's fault, but I was working on a lot of different things like computer science for the code, electrical engineering, mechanical, and I started to think, oh, I think I like the electrical engineering and I'm good at computer science. My dream school is Berkeley, and they have a course where they combine electrical engineering and computer science, so it's called EECS. So that's what I'm trying to do, if I can get into Berkeley. Cool. Thank you.